A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night is director Anna Lily Amirpour's cinematic debut. She also serves as a screenwriter and appears several times within the film, as if presiding over it. The film follows the story of the main character, the girl, as she deals out justice to various misogynists while navigating romance with her love, Arash. The setting is Bad City, an Iranian lawless ghost town where ditches are littered with bodies, where prostitutes and junkies have the lay of the land, and where the crossing signs warn of a single vampire, all set against the smog of a sluggish industrial city. It was filmed in Bakersfield, California, only an hour away from LA, though the characters speak Farsi and it feels more like Texas. The film initially won Best Short Film at the Noor Iranian Film Festival in 2012, before Amirpour extended it to the 90-minute film in 2014, when it was distributed by Vice Films, who have recently emphasized the importance of portraying more women on-screen and off-screen. Amirpour gives her main character no name. She's referred to only as the girl.
اسمش رو نمیدونم.
Even the other characters are ostensibly reduced to stereotypes. There is the pimp, the prostitute, the junkie, and the princess. The narrative is slow. The pace feels sensual, and the film as a whole feels meditative. The film is both tense and almost self-indulgent in its length. There's little dialogue, and any violence is both accelerated and brief. While the film is set in Iran and was banned in the country, she cinematically draws on an impressive range of influences and delights in playing with stereotypes of decades and cultures. The girl herself channels the vampire Nosferatu. Though her chador evokes religious symbolism, it conveys an entirely different purpose. She has Margaret Atwood posters on her wall, which actually look more like Madonna, and delights in 80s records, such as Lionel Richie. The black and white film utilizes elements of film noir, most notably the Dutch tilt, and the camera stresses contrast, shadows, and distortion. Characteristics of film noir include focus shifts, which create an atmosphere that things and people are not always as they appear, and a mash of soundtracks leaves the viewer disoriented. Scenes are usually shot in the dark, either by shooting at nighttime or in enclosed rooms during the daytime. In the scene between Arash and his father, the shades are all drawn, effectively darkening the room and leaving the feeling of disorientation. The sources of light in the film are rarely in focus, and ambient lighting often portrays the characters. Amirpour also uses extreme close-ups to express attention and a heightened sense of urgency. She also plays with multiple mirror shots to complement a sense of distortion and a lack of clear perspective, as well to evoke themes of self-reflection.
Amirpour also delves into the world of spaghetti westerns for inspiration via wide shots of landscape and extreme close-ups. A characteristic of spaghetti westerns, characters pop into the frame, and yet they also can slowly be shown by an upward pan. The spaghetti western characteristics are easily recognizable yet artfully used. Amirpour's influences reflect her personal experience as an Iranian American who grew up in California and attended UCLA for film school. In an interview with the New York Times, she says, "With this movie, we kind of make our own place that was as Iranian as we are, which is a mashup of so many things." A great example of Amirpour's Frankenstein tendency to use multiple movie cultures mixed with her own quirks comes to us from the first scene. We meet Arash, who is dressed up as a bad boy James Dean. He drives a car from the 1950s, and his whole aura points to the golden age of Hollywood. While Arash may be inspired in the scene by the era, he is shot as if in a spaghetti western. We see him walk down a lone road, but not at the center of the frame. We then transition into an establishing shot. These long, wide establishing shots follow those used in spaghetti westerns to introduce the usual boomtown setting. When Arash passes the transvestite on the street, slowed down movement and a close-up of her face are used to create a strange tension, as if the two are enemies in a cowboy showdown. As Arash passes a cavern of bodies, the music becomes distorted. An element of Amirpour's personal film style, music distortion is used throughout the film. Whereas her shots are drawn from spaghetti westerns, Her lighting incorporates depth and the disorientation of film noir, as exemplified when we fade from tree branches to an oil field by way of a superimposition. We then end on an over-the-shoulder shot of Arash driving off. The focus shifts from the moving car to the little boy. Amirpour continues to play with light and focus for the rest of the movie and even has the entire film in black and white. The scene that arguably shines the most in its black and white glory is the one of the transvestite dancing with the balloon. The transvestite, known as the Rockabilly, is the only character by the end of the movie who isn't dead or irrevocably changed by the girl. From her eyes to her dancing, she evokes a deep sense of suspense, which borders on the absurd. Amirpour seems to use the transvestite to make statements on gender, as well as a signifier of key events in the plotline. In the opening scene, her eyes follow Arash, who we will come to know as one of the main characters. She later appears at the party, where Arash is rejected by Shada, the princess, a rejection that spurs the meeting between Arash and the girl. Her beautiful dance with a black balloon comes right after Arash and the girl share their first moment together. The girl makes the conscious decision not to hurt him, and this interaction is emoted through the dance. The balloon stays its distance from the transvestite, but she still longingly stares at it through their movement, almost an image of the girl wanting love from Arash, but also wanting his blood. Through major plot points, the Rockabilly is there. It seems fitting that the only character that so completely rejects toxic masculinity is the only one to stay the same. Amirpour's Rockabilly barely speaks, if at all, but her presence and clear understanding of the world of Bad City lends the viewer to see her and the rejection of toxic masculinity as the only way out. A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night is characterized as a feminist film. First, Amirpour is a female screenwriter and director, a rarity in acclaimed films and an issue in the global industry. The Bechdel test is a measurement used by many in film to see if a work has an active female presence. The 3 rules are that 1, there are at least 2 women in the piece who 2, talk to each other about 3, something other than men. In Amirpour's work, the scene between Addie the prostitute and the girl succeeds, as Addie and the girl discuss their sadness and loss of purpose. It's a beautifully written scene between 2 seemingly lost women. Even as the girl seems to be speaking to Addie, her comments could also apply to herself.
یادت نمیاد چی میخوای خواستن و یادت نمیاد خیلی ازش گذشته هیچی هم عوض نمیشه.
Rather than objectifying the women's bodies, the camera focuses on their eyes, which allows the audience to experience the characters' vulnerabilities.
While the film is lauded as a feminist triumph, Amirpour does not necessarily offer any easy answers for her viewers. The film opens with overtly misogynistic symbols and rhetoric.
مرد معمولیه قمارباز زنباز دوست داره دعواشو بذاره که دردش بره میبینی
There is a commercial broadcaster warning women that their husband will leave them, tattoos reading sex, drug dealing, weights, a drum set, and prostitutes are abused and forcibly injected with drugs. The pimp is the first to die, and the girl targets other misogynists, including Arash's father, and she aims to teach the young boy in the film a lesson. It is interesting that the girl is a vampire of sorts, as the original vamps of the 1920s represented the archetype of a femme fatale and reflected the shifting notion that women can act on their own revenge. Yet Amirpour's depiction of the girl is nuanced and the acting is vulnerable. Underneath her chador, her striped fishing shirt conveys youth. Her vulnerability is highlighted when boy meets girl. Arash's romance with the girl channels that of an awkward high school relationship, and its sweetness and sensitivity sharply contradict the atmosphere of the town. For the woman in the film, there are also themes of thwarted dreams and shame. Ultimately, what is most revolutionary about the film from a feminist perspective is the essence of the film itself, one which portrays the needs, desires, and vulnerabilities of women. An individualized and nuanced female character is rare in cinema. The film doesn't victimize women. Rather, it shows them as complex characters, both as an agent for revenge, while also capable of profound emotion. A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, indeed, and everyone better be wary.
The sense of time catching up.